Hi, I'm Liron Cohen.
And I'm Mimi Torchin.
And you're listening to Lady Parts TV, the podcast.
Whee!
Hello and happy Saturday and welcome to another podcast.
Hello.
This week we're doing our most anticipated movies of the summer. And just in case you weren't here next week, which you should really go and check it out, when we're talking about spring, we're talking about the female and or LGBTQ centric movies that are coming in the next few months that we are very much looking forward to. We're going to tell you about them, so don't forget to get your pen and your pad so you can write down those dates and those movie titles because you don't want to miss them.
And I have one thing to say. You said next week. In case they miss next week. It's
last week. Did I say next week?
I think you did, but who knows? I could have been hearing things.
I have disobedience on the brain.
Oh, disobedience.
Last week.
Yes.
Okay, so last week's podcast, obviously. Yes. Okay, so let's just go right ahead and start with
June 22nd, Boundaries. And I have to say that this is one of those movies which I might see on the island, but I wouldn't see in New York.
Yeah.
But I do have a check mark next to it, and it says yes with an exclamation point. Looks fun. We watched trailers, and so that we have a little bit more information. And it's a road trip movie between a single mother, Laura, Vera Farmiga, who we adore. We adore Vera Farmiga, her awkward 14-year-old son, and her father, Jack, who is a weird guy, played by Christopher Plummer. And he's actually not a weird guy. He's a very free, ex-hippie kind of a guy who's been thrown out of yet another nursing home type place for selling pot. And I think that it's going to be a very funny
road trip movie.
It's a road trip. They have to get to know each other again. They've been estranged, I think, for a while.
And the kid doesn't know his father.
No, right. He's going to meet his father, Bobby Cannavale, on this trip. And a lot's going to happen.
I'm personally missing some women. I feel that she's the woman and then she's surrounded by all these men. I'm missing some women. But in lieu of women, this movie is giving us a lot of dogs.
Oh, dogs everywhere. So I think that's a pretty good.
Not entirely a swap, but I can go along with dogs.
I think dogs and Vera Farmiga, who is at the center of this.
Also, this is directed and written by a woman, Shayna Fest.
Either Fest or Feste. We don't know.
Anyway, check it out. June 22nd. Boundaries.
My turn again. Because I have a particular interest in this. June 29th, the movie is called Woman Walks Ahead, and it's starring Jessica Chastain, and it's about a woman, Catherine Weldon. I believe this is a true life story. A portrait painter from 1890s Brooklyn, and she decides that she wants to paint Sitting Bull's portrait, and she travels to Dakota to do it. And she unwittingly becomes part of the Lakota people's struggle over rights to their land. And this is something I have a lot of sympathy with, what Native Americans suffered at the hands of the Europeans who came over and took over our country.
It looks very
in the early
powerful.
days. It looks very powerful. Jessica Chastain is playing a very interesting role once again. And
it also looks gorgeous.
It looks absolutely spectacular. The turn of the century in the West is so beautiful, and there's going to be great vistas. As a photographer, I just really can see a lot of things just for the way they look. But this movie has a lot more than looking beautiful. It has a very historic center to it, and a woman at the heart of it. It's also directed by a woman, Susanna White, and has one of my favorite actresses, Jessica Chastain. So, June 29th, Woman Walks Ahead. I recommend it. It looks riveting.
All right, now this is definitely my movie to talk about. July 6th, Whitney. And it's, as you can imagine, a documentary about Whitney Houston's life. Director Kevin McDonald apparently got unprecedented access by her estate,
and
her
Sissy
family
Houston
and estate.
Patricia.
So this is Patricia?
Patricia is her sister-in-law, who was her manager and controlled a lot of things at the end of her life.
So apparently they have a lot of interviews from a lot of people and a lot of archival footage, which I'm sure will be fantastic for fans. I am, by the way, have always been a huge Whitney fan. However, unfortunately, the fact that he got access from the estate bodes ill for how real the movie can get.
Exactly.
I don't know I don't know if you've seen the previous HBO documentary that was about Whitney, which touched on the possibility of her lesbian relationship with Robin.
Yes.
Robin Crawford. I didn't see Robin in the trailer for the movie at all.
And by the way, I think it's more than, what did you say, alleged?
Well...
Yes, all right.
I don't know.
Yeah, we
I mean, honestly, as far as we're concerned, it happened. We believe that Whitney was at least bisexual, if not a lesbian, and that and we all know about her relationship with Bobby Brown and how that was part of her demise. And Sissy Houston was homophobic and very
remains so.
Yes, and very outspoken about it. And her daughter knew about how she felt about the possibility of her being a lesbian. So I think it's an important topic to bring up when you talk about Whitney's life and what brought her down. I don't know if this movie...
But we have a feeling that it's not going to be in this film.
But the sheer fact that he collaborated with the estate. So, but I'm open and I will certainly watch it because I'm a fan and I'm interested.
Just a chance to hear Whitney Houston sing.
Yeah, and see all... Well, I mean, it's going to be sad. It's going to be really sad.
She's had a sad life.
Yeah, but it's also going to be moving and thrilling. So, July 6th, Whitney.
All right. July the 13th, 8th grade.
Did you see what you did there? July the 13th.
I like the.
You like adding the to everything.
I don't add it to everything.
We've just discovered
I'm just adding it to the reviews. And to the information. I mean, they're not reviews.
Right. What is it called?
It's called 8th grade, not the 8th grade. And it's about a teenager, a very awkward teenager, trying to survive her last week of her disastrous 8th grade year. And then she's going to start high school, so talk about terrifying. It stars a brand new young actress named Elsie Fisher, who I find alarmingly charming.
She's very real. She's very
very,
exposed.
very real. And she's quite exposed to all of her little flaws and her insecurities. She's elected the most quiet girl in her school. And I think she wants to break out of that. And the movie looks very interesting. And if you have children of that age, or if you were a child of that age, exactly, I think that you will find this familiar. And,
painfully familiar.
Exactly.
When I saw the trailer for the first time, I thought, "Oh my God, do I really want to go through that again?"
It's not going to be. It's not going to be horrible. It's not like
No. But it's
the
just
onion
gonna be,
field where people are murdered.
But it's all those growing pains,
and also growing pains when you're not one of the popular kids.
Well, of course, I think most of us, that's our experience. Just by the sheer nature of how many popular kids were there, it was a small club. I also wonder how. To me, what's the other thing that's fascinating about this movie is to see how different it is to be, or not, to be a teenager these days, in these technological times when social media and everything. To me, it's going to be an interesting opportunity to see if it's how different it is from my teenage years, or maybe it's not so different, even with all these new technologies.
I think cruelty is cruelty in school, no matter what
just
year it
on
is and how much technology there is.
Anyway, July 13th, 8th grade. It seems very much worth your time. Now, July 20th, Mamma Mia, here we go again.
And as I said, let the party begin.
And I don't know if you know this about me, but when it comes to Mamma Mia, I did go again and again and again and again, and maybe 19 times. Who knows?
She's talking about the play.
Just the play. The movie I saw over 20 times in
the
movie theater.
Oh my God. I saw it twice.
So Mamma Mia, you probably all know the original, the musical, and then the movie that originally starred, and they're all coming back, by the way.
All coming back.
Meryl Streep, Christine Baranski, Julie Walters. What's going on with my mouth?
Amanda Seyfried,
Pierce Brosnan, Colin Firth, Stellan Skarsgård, Dominic Cooper, plus Lily James, the adorable Lily James, and Cher,
for God's sakes.
So it looks like so much fun.
It does.
At first I thought, oh, why do we need a sequel? And then so what happens in the sequel is that Amanda Seyfried's character, who is the daughter, Sophie, is now pregnant, and so she is now learning about her mother's past when she was pregnant with her on this island, and everything. If you know Donna, played by Meryl Streep, she's a very, very cool chick. So we're learning about her past. Lily James is playing her as a young woman,
which is, I think, wonderful considering Amanda Seyfried is playing her daughter.
Right. It's good casting.
Good casting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now this is written and directed by Ol Parker, who also made Imagine Me and You and The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel. So even though at first I was like, why do we need a man to do this? Because I don't know if you know, but Mamma Mia, both the play and the movie, was all women. Phyllida Lloyd directed, and it was written by a woman, produced by a woman. It was very, very female-centric. So I didn't understand exactly why we needed a man for this job until I saw who it was.
Ol Parker.
So I'm not that offended. But anyway, it looks like so much fun. It looks
delicious. As I said, let the party begin. That's all it is going to be a great, fun romp. And if you love ABBA's music,
and who doesn't love ABBA's music?
They're going to revisit the old favorites from the movie, but they're also adding new songs.
Well,
I think did they even write this?
No, I don't think so.
They're all already written.
They're not new songs. They're just songs that weren't in the movie, but they're ABBA songs. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it's so much fun, and it's in Greece, and it's beautiful and so summery.
And apparently, Meryl Streep's character Donna has an interesting role. I don't think she's going to be there throughout. It's going to be something they said sort of surprising.
But anyway, the girls are all coming back. Her friends are coming back. And
I would go anywhere and do anything just to spend a few weeks with Christine Baranski. I have spent a couple of hours with her at the Tony Awards, but that wasn't nearly enough.
And I want to tell you people, and I'll just say this, but if you've seen Mamma Mia, the movie, and you didn't think it was that amazing, the musical itself, they made a choice in the movie to focus more on the young kids. The play itself focused so much more on Donna and her two friends. So to me, it was a celebration of womanhood, friendship, mother-daughter relationship. It was so much more than the movie ended up being.
I have a feeling the play will be revived in another year or two, even though it just stopped running.
It's all over the world.
All over the world.
But in terms of Broadway,
road shows all over the country,
Anyway, it's just going to be fun. So July 20th, Mamma Mia, here we go again. And we will be going again.
And again.
Now, July 27th is a very interesting documentary, and if you look it up, you won't really find much that will give you as much of a sense of the movie as we can give you, because we read the book. I
only read half the book, but...
This is called Scotty and the Secret History of Hollywood.
And this is, to me, this movie is going to be about gay Hollywood gossip.
Well, this is, yeah.
But it's very interesting sociologically as well as gossip-wise.
Well, this is Scotty Bowers, who I loved what the New York Times said, and I will quote, "Straight actors who wanted to pay for sex in the 1990s had Heidi Fleiss. Gay ones during the late 1940s and beyond apparently had Scotty Bowers." This is based on his book, Full Service. In which he apparently had this gas station, and all these gay, secret, of course, you couldn't be gay in those. It was the studio era. The image of an actor was so important, and it was part of their contract. So all of this had to be very secretive and clandestine. All these gay Hollywood and lesbian Hollywood stars who came to Scotty Bowers to procure dates for them, and by dates I mean mostly paid, and he's going to tell all of his stories in this movie documentary.
I hope they're all dead.
I'm pretty sure.
Yes,
except for Olivia de Havilland, who'll probably sue.
I don't think Olivia de Havilland will feature in this movie.
So anyway, it's fascinating. It's Hollywood. It's lesbians and gay people. What could be wrong?
What could be bad?
July 27th, Scotty and the Secret History of Hollywood. Okay, Mimi got this one, even though it is our most anticipated movie of the summer.
Of the summer. Because we have those in the spring as well. August 3rd, The Wife. And I think this is going to be Glenn Close's Oscar.
Oh, I hope, because
this will finally be Glenn Close's
Personally,
Oscar.
I'm amazed she hasn't gotten one yet, but this is definitely the one she should get it for.
And it stars, of course, Glenn Close. She couldn't get an Oscar otherwise for it. And Jonathan Pryce, who is a very fine actor. And it's based on the novel by Meg Wolitzer, who I love. She is a wonderful novelist, and she really, really, really writes for and about women. The little blurb about this just says, a wife questions her life choices as she travels to Stockholm with her husband, where he is slated to receive the Nobel Prize for Literature. But as we know, behind any great man, there's probably a greater woman. And
this I think. Well, first of all, it's a woman who sacrificed basically her
everything.
Her
She's
life,
highly
her
intelligent.
ambitions.
She was a writer in her own right. He was, I believe, her professor.
Yes, I think that's how they met,
right.
and she sacrificed her whole life.
Yes, and she excuses
to elevate him to what he became,
which I think many women of a certain era did.
Anyway, so and then when he's about to get his Nobel Prize, a lot starts to come out, and I think what we're going to find here is a story
sort of like Big Eyes,
sort of like plagiarism,
or the husband stealing the.
I don't know if he stole or if she
provided
gave him I don't know,
work,
but either way, she is now, I think, regretting it as she's celebrating her husband getting the Nobel Prize that she probably should have gotten.
She's a little bit angry, and
I
think that she has given up. He was a philanderer, which she excused because it was all for his art. I think that she has given up so much of her life and her soul that this is the straw,
the
that
breaking
breaks.
point.
Yes,
I'm looking forward to this film. The trailer looks wonderful. Glenn Close is
she's so beautiful. She is so intense. Always, and
it just has the making of a really good epic.
Absolutely, she as an actress always has gravitas, and this film is also one that seems to have gravitas. It's about big things, and I just think it's going to be fantastic. I just want to repeat, August the 3rd. The 3rd!
August the 3rd.
August the 3rd, The Wife.
Thank goodness. All right, also August 3rd, on a completely other end of the spectrum.
Completely.
The Spy Who Dumped Me. Now, as you can probably figure from the title, it is a comedy.
It is a comedy.
But it's not just any comedy. It's a comedy starring
Kate McKinnon
and Mila Kunis.
Yes, of the funny Bad Wives movies.
Bad Moms.
Bad Moms.
Who apparently in this movie they discover that they're practically married. They complete each other's sentences. They've become best friends.
As friends, the actresses.
Yeah. They become best friends.
They started off saying, I think we're going to be good friends. And they did become good friends. I love it.
So it's going to be great chemistry between them. It's a movie about best friends who discover that the boyfriend, the ex of one of them is actually a spy. And they are, unwittingly being thrown into this complete
conspiracy,
mass
international.
It goes through all of Europe, and they have to try to save the world, I guess,
and themselves, I think,
and again, this is there were no stunt doubles in this movie because the whole point was they're not trained.
They're klutzes. Yeah, they have to do all of these superhero things without the wherewithal to do them. Yes,
so it's going to be very fun. It's kind of they also has kind of a riff of a James Bond movie, and it's directed by Susanna Fogel, who also wrote with David Iserson. And it just looks like so much fun. And honestly, Kate McKinnon. It's kind of like, what? Really?
How much more fabulous could it be?
That's Kate McKinnon.
Yeah.
So, August 3rd, or August the 3rd, The Spy Who Dumped Me. Also, August 3rd, The Miseducation of Cameron Post. We couldn't find a trailer for it, but the premise sounds fascinating. It takes place in 1993, and it's about a girl who is being forced into a gay conversion therapy center. It's based on a novel by Emily M. Danforth. It's directed by Desiree Akhavan and also written by her and Cecilia Frugal. So it's very female-centric. It stars Chloe Grace Moretz and Jennifer L.
Who I love.
Even though we haven't been able to see a trailer yet, maybe it's too early, it's too soon, the subject matter to me is one of the most fascinating subject matters, and it's an important one to talk about because I don't know if you know, but in this country, in some of the states, it is still very much legal
and it happens
to send your child to a gay conversion therapy. So August 3rd, The Miseducation of Cameron Post. I will very much be looking forward to that one.
Yes, so will I. Also on August the 3rd, something
very different,
but still involving kids. Anyway, a movie called The Darkest Minds. And from watching the trailer, what it looked like to me was a modern day X-Men, because all of the children.
All the children under 18 are being sent into these, I don't know if it's camps
No, it's
or
because
something.
many of them have died. There aren't very many children left, once again, dystopian, because they've gotten some kind of a virus. The ones who have escaped
forming a resistance
under 18
group.
are forming a resistance, and when they survive, they all get superpowers. They each have a different kind of interesting power, and so they
Which I guess is why the adults are scared of them.
That's right. It's why they become imprisoned. And so this is about a resistance group that tries to reclaim their place in the world, and it's
by the way, starring the lead girl is an African American girl, so this is already great, and it's starring Mandy Moore
and the divine Gwendolyn Christie as the villainess. Now, again, in case you have to be reminded, Gwendolyn Christie is Brienne of Tarth.
In case you haven't.
Game of Thrones people, be there, be square.
It's directed by a woman, Jennifer Yu Nelson.
Yes.
And it's, by the way, the producers of Stranger Things, which I know some of you are fans of. And it's in a similar kind of
vein. Although I don't think it's going to be as quite as supernatural, except the premise being what it is. Yes, they have superpowers. But otherwise, I think it's going to have a little bit more of a realistic vibe.
August 3rd.
August 3rd, The Darkest Minds. All right. Here's something that I think is going to be fun and beautiful. And I have a feeling that if you liked Pride and, The Bride and Prejudice.
The Bride and Prejudice?
The Bride and Prejudice.
I've never even heard of it.
Which was a Bollywood-style movie modern-day takeoff on Pride and Prejudice. This is called Crazy Rich Asians.
Did we say August 17th?
August 17th, Crazy Rich Asians. And I have to say that I have a weakness for very beautiful Asian people, and so this movie is filled to the brim. It's just...
and it's starring a couple of your favorite ladies.
Michelle Yeoh, who I just worship, is playing sort of a villain.
She's the mother.
Yes,
and
Gemma Chan.
If you know her as Anita from Humans, if you know her, you love her. There's no other option.
You will love her.
Also,
and Awkwafina is back again.
But really starring the film is Constance Wu from Fresh Off the Boat.
Right, absolutely. And it looks hilarious and crazy, and it's about an American-born Chinese economics professor who meets a beautiful, handsome, the bachelor of your life, dream man, and he wants her to go to Singapore to meet his family. And what she doesn't know about him is he is like the richest man
in Asia.
And the richest family. And so here is this sort of little nobody from America coming into what it is to be sort of like marrying the Prince Harry or somebody. How interesting.
Actually, she tells him in the trailer, you're kind of like the Prince William of Asia, and he said no, more like Harry. But
and there's a lot of women who are very upset about this. Young women who wanted to claim him for themselves. Their own husband, and she's gonna have a lot of problems. And that's why I think it's sort of going to be like Bride and Prejudice.
Maybe I've never seen the movie, but anyway, the writers are also Adele Lim and Peter Chiarelli. It just looks like fun.
It looks like a hoot. It's very colorful. It's very alive. I think it's going to be very, very funny, and I think it'll give us a look into some lives we don't know anything about.
At least some of us.
Well, yes, and I think of whom there are many ultra-rich Asians outside of America. So August 18th, Crazy Rich Asians.
August 17th?
Oh.
August 17th.
Why did I read
Crazy
the 18th?
Rich Asians. I don't know. Do you want to say August the 17th?
August the 17th.
Crazy Rich Asians.
Crazy Rich Asians.
Finally, we have the final film, which is also one of your most anticipated films of the summer.
Absolutely, and I didn't even know anything about it. So seeing the trailer really did charge me up.
August 24th.
Yes, The Bookshop.
The Bookshop. Thank
It's
goodness.
called The Bookshop.
I know, thank goodness.
Anyway, I have a note here that says looks fabulous on so many levels. And it's there are so many things to draw me to it, and I hope draw you to it. First of all, it's directed by Isabelle Coixet, I think.
And written by her as well.
And written by her. It's Coixet, based on the novel by Penelope Fitzgerald. And it stars Emily Mortimer, Patricia Clarkson, and Bill Nighy, among, I'm sure, many other, for those of us who are
Britophiles.
and Britophiles, many other actors who we will recognize. And it's set in a small town in 1959 England. And it's a story of this woman who decides she wants to open a bookshop. And she opens it in a historical building, which does cause some of the problems. But there's never been a bookshop in this very insular little town before, which is run by very particular rules and
very old-fashioned.
Old-fashioned.
And here she wants it in the late 50s, and
right,
she wants
she's
to sell
bringing Lolita,
and
Fahrenheit 451. She's opening their eyes, and she's sort of causing a cultural awakening and revolution. And she has a few enemies who don't want their feathers ruffled or their children exposed to things or their wives or and her most fierce enemy is the hostile and very high elevated in society Mrs. Gamart, played by the divine Patricia Clarkson, and she looks scary in this movie.
Now, even though we don't usually like to see women pitted against each other, unfortunately, sometimes that does happen.
Sometimes it happens. And this is, the movie looks just fantastic. It's gorgeous to look at. It has interesting themes, good actors. I'm really looking forward to it. August 24th, The Bookshop.
And that is it for our summer preview of films for 2018. As always, write to us, ladypartstv@gmail.com, and tell us all about the movies you've seen, going to see, whatever.
And tell us if there's something we've missed that we might want to talk about at some point.
Yep. And we hope we gave you a lot to do this summer.
Yes.
And
and there are all other kinds of movies happening, by the way.
This
not
is just our
movies
list.
that we are
This is just our
interested in seeing and that fit our theme.
And we will see you next week for a regular podcast. So thank you for joining us, and bye.
Bye.